Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
It's Friday, as the kids would say, so a big warm welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. And today I want to cover an incredibly important topic for startup founders and entrepreneurs, because it is harder than ever for incubators, accelerators to get their portfolio companies funded. Why? Because investors are demanding and want to see the numbers behind the story. And that often includes revenue projections, customer acquisition costs, lifetime value projections, and how they interact with each other. Not to mention the assumptions behind those projections. So as a result, portfolio companies often fail miserably in understanding, presenting, and backing up such numbers for their investors. Which brings me on to the problem. How do you get funded? Now, typically, less than 20% of portfolio companies are getting funded or receive follow-on investments. And one of the major reasons for this is because they don't understand the metrics that matter. Essentially, we've got two different sides here, talking completely different languages. And the startups don't know how to model their business to actually present it to investors. But this show is about solutions, not problems. I hear you shouting down your phone. I get it. I hear you. And you are right. And that's why I've invited the guys from Leancase onto the show today. Because Leancase supports incubators, accelerators, VCs, private equity, family offices and business angels to get their portfolio companies funded. But I'm not going to give you all the answers in my intro. That's not how it works either. So buckle up and hold on tight, gang, so I can beam your ears all the way to Germany so we can speak with Eckhard Ottwein, entrepreneur, business model expert and founder at Leancase. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Well, sure. Thanks a lot, Neil, first of all, for having me on your show. And it's a great honor, really. My name is Eckhard Ottwein. I founded and exited two companies. The first one was Paybooks, a mobile payments company, which was acquired by Sybase SAP about 10 years ago. The second one was Accels, a startup with a team from Israel, which was acquired by Ping Identity about 4 years ago. I'm now working with Bryan Garnier, which is a French investment bank, as an advisor in mergers and acquisitions. And we find investors and buyers of mainly software and SaaS companies in the B2B space. I'm also a member of a digital advisory board of a large German bank. And I'm working as a partner in two smaller VC companies. But I can't really do without product. And that's why I started Leancase.
My understanding is Leancase supports incubators, accelerators, VCs, private equity, family offices and business angels to just get their portfolio companies funded. So can you help anyone listening that are just hearing about you for the first time by maybe setting the scene and telling them a little bit more about the kind of problems that you solve for your clients and what makes you different from other solutions out there?
Well, in my different roles, I have experienced and I am experiencing the funding and investment process from the startup and investor side. And I believe when it comes to metrics and numbers, this process is really completely broken. And actually, this is not only true if we talk about startup and investors, it's also true for if we talk about decision-making in corporates and decision makers about taking decisions about corporate projects. So I think one of the biggest challenges is that often the relevance of unit economics is completely ignored. So what is unit economics? It is about answering the simple question, is the lifetime value of a customer significantly higher than the cost to acquire him? And this is a super important question. I've seen companies asking for money to scale their company, but the unit economics just weren't right. And this is really wasting money. Yeah. So often, this question is completely ignored in any Excel sheets when it comes to business modeling. And from the startup side, business modeling today, it is really about reinventing the wheel every time. You develop an Excel spreadsheet from scratch again, or you try to find a suitable template. And instead of dealing with the business questions, you have to take care about Excel formulas. And most people aren't just pros in Excel. And they will actually never become one. And that is why many spreadsheets are simplified or full of errors. And I was lucky in one situation that I had a great model, but even if you have a great model, you don't have any clue about realistic benchmarks. And then it means garbage into a great model is also garbage out. And you can also look at it from the investor side. From the investor side, investors they often receive 10 Excel spreadsheets, and 8 of them are really too simplified, and it's almost not worthwhile opening them. And the 9th one is completely over-engineered, and the 10th one is a good one. But even if you set this quality issue aside, even if you had 10 great models as an investor, you cannot compare them. They're all using different structures. They use different definitions and formulas, and you need time to understand them and check if they work right. And how, as an investor, do you ever want to gain insights, learn, and improve with this kind of structure?
And as this is a tech show, we do have a lot of startup founders listening as well. I've got to ask, what kind of technology or what role does technology play in your business at Leancase?
Technology is really important for us at Leancase. Because we want to come up with a standard set of templates and business models that will cover more than 80% of all the business cases which are typically done. And this is why Leancase has to be a very flexible platform. And we have built into the platform a modeling and calculation layer. And in the future, users will be able to inject new models even almost on the fly. And currently, we are at a point where we can add new models, even specific for customers, and make them reusable in a few days. And that is already much faster than you can create a new Excel model from scratch. Another reason why technology is important for us is user guidance. What we really want is that modeling becomes a breeze. Decision makers and projects alike, they want this breakthrough innovation that allows a user without a financial background, who is not an expert in Excel, to have access to revenue models, to have access to benchmarks, and to use standards. And what we are working on is a smart onboarding module, and we also will integrate AI technology, expert-based systems, as well as a bit of machine learning. And we want to give the user the guidance on how to set up his own models for getting, keeping, and growing customers, and at the same time suggest benchmarks, right, which are reasonable assumptions, and also suggest strategies on how to improve assumptions. And this should take the so-called prescriptive care of the complexity of the business model, and we want to work with the user and decision makers to just make them better, faster, smarter.
And I love how you're not just talking about new shiny technology, but it's actually about using technology as a guidance, like you said there. So can you tell me a little bit more about the power of incremental improvement? And maybe, if you can, offer a few examples to help people listening understanding the value that you can provide by simply leveraging this technology?
Well, if you look at business models today, they are typically only adding up numbers, and they only look at starting a customer. And they typically ignore the customer lifecycle process of how to get leads and how to convert leads into paying customers. And in those traditional models, if you want to double your revenues, you need twice as many customers. A business model should model the entire customer lifecycle. And this is and for each business has the 3 same stages: how you get leads, how you convert leads into customers, and how you grow your paying customers. And if we just look at the standard SaaS process, of getting customers has 5 phases, of converting a prospect into a paying customer. This involves converting a prospect into a market qualified lead, sales qualified lead, committed customer, onboarding, and so on and so forth. And between each of the phases, there are metrics at play. There's a conversion rate, and there's a time delay, and there's a cost to really convert a customer from stage to stage. Now, in this model, how can you double your revenues? How do you bring on twice as many new customers? And a smart way to double your new customers is to improve your conversion rates at each phase. And if you have 5 phases like in the SaaS model, and you improve the conversion at each phase by 15%, then you can actually double your number of new customers. And why is this? This is really simple math, because 1.15 to the power of 5 is 2. So maybe for those of you who forgot that type of math from school, just type in your into your calculators 1.15 times 1.5 times, well, you do it 5 times, right?
Yeah.
And then you get 2. And that is a good example for the power of incremental improvements. And you're not adding up effects, but this is the effect of results of multiplications.
Now, you mentioned a few moments ago about Excel, because a lot of these kind of things are handled in Excel. So I've got to ask, why do you think that lean case is a much better way than Excel to actually give investors and SaaS companies the metrics that actually matter to them?
What businesses really want is that they want to discuss business realities and increase their planning efficiencies. And what Leancase allows them to do is create realistic models with expert guidance and benchmarks, and present those numbers in a decision maker friendly way. And this is very hard to achieve with Excel. And really, this is what Leancase does. Our models cover the entire customer life cycle, and for this reason are much more realistic than Excel models. And we are very focused to put unit economics at the center of decision making. And if you look at many Excel models, there's a profit and loss statement and maybe even a balance sheet and stuff like that. But the key decision making lever for unit economics is often ignored. And the third point is users should not need a financial background and should not have any Excel know-how to come up with a model, right? And this is where also Leancase allows them to do this. And also from the fourth point here is from the perspective of an investor and a decision maker, we can really standardize this process and finally allow them to gain insights and not only open up new spreadsheets and try to understand them.
So if we do have any startup founders or entrepreneurs listening, can you just maybe walk them through that with how, without any finance background, they can create that very realistic SaaS business model based on a customer life cycle in just 30 minutes? Is that right?
Yes, this is right. And there are 2 ways which I can recommend. So please come to our website and sign up for a free e-course, which you find there, which is called How to Create a SaaS Business Model in 30 Minutes. But honestly, I must admit this course takes 45 minutes. The second option, which you should do, is please come to our website and request a demo, and we will use this demo as a onboarding and training for you, and we can show you how to create Leancase for your business using the templates. And once we onboard you for Leancase, you just have to adapt the metrics, like the conversion metrics and the time delays we were talking about earlier.
And what kind of feedback have you received from your clients? Do you get to hear any feedback or success stories?
Yes, of course. And we have just interviewed our clients. And specifically, startups are very happy because they can avoid the Excel mess, and they have a validated model in just a few hours, and they can share the Leancase dashboard with their investors. And then their investors want to use Leancase also for their companies, which for us creates a nice viral effect. More mature companies, like going for A rounds, for example, typically have a bit more conservative corporate investors who still require an Excel and a PowerPoint. And we can actually also support them. And what we do is we first set up a Leancase model with them, and then we can export the results, and we can really create a very appealing, nice PowerPoint and also an Excel sheet that they can use. And all this is done in a few days. And the corporates and accelerators, what they like a lot about Leancase is that they can integrate Leancase as a methodology into their programs. They can. And then all of a sudden, their business models become standardized, they are logical, they can be easily explained. People have a common language about their business models. And this is why the models become defendable and much more believable. And at the end of the day, all this increases the chances of their portfolio companies to get funding. And then lastly, we also work with consultants. We ran a project with the Boston Consulting Group, their digital ventures arm last year, and actually just signed a co-development agreement with them. And that shows that Leancase has really a nice potential going forward.
And for those startup founders listening, is there any advice that you could maybe offer about how to get funded and giving investors exactly what they want to actually increase their chances of getting funded?
Well, when it comes to numbers, I think there's 3 points startup founders should look after. The first one is be literate about metrics. Really know the metrics which are there and know what you were talking about. And it's not a lot of training that you need to get to that point. And the second one is be realistic about your assumptions. Yeah, rather present assumptions which are a bit too conservative, but don't overpromise. And then the third thing is trust is really important. And if there is any bad news in your numbers, don't hide it and reveal it immediately.
So I've got to ask then, what's next for Leancase? Is there anything else you can share with us about the future and what you're working towards?
Well, we're currently closing a funding round ourselves for the Leancase. We are integrating artificial intelligence for the onboarding experience so that the onboarding becomes much easier. And actually, our vision for Leancase is that it becomes a communication tool between decision makers and their projects and investors and their startups, so that companies do not only use Leancase for planning, but also for reporting. And we're actually working on functionality that standardizes the communication on a monthly basis, where you track your business objectives and your specific goals against the Leancase plan, because that's another key issue in the communication is the monthly reporting.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've mentioned the 45-minute e-course there and so many other areas. So for people listening that want to find out more information, can you just remind them where they can find you online? And equally, if they just want to send you a quick message and contact your team, if they've got any additional questions, what's the best way of doing that?
Well, please visit us at lean-case.com and request a demo. And of course, you can shoot me an email at Eckhard, ECKHARD, at lean-case.com. And I will be very happy to take you through Leancase demo myself.
Excellent. Well, a huge thank you for taking the time to come and speak with me today. I love what you're doing with technology here. And I love how you're actually helping startup founders give investors exactly what they want to help improve their chances of funding. It's fantastic what you're doing. So a big thank you for coming on today.
Thank you, Neil.
I love the simplicity of the solution at Leancase, which is simply giving investors what they want. And like I said before, Leancase gives incubators, accelerators and their portfolio companies the ability to quickly model and simulate different business models accurately and present the metrics in an investor-friendly format. And what's the aim? Again, to simply and dramatically increase the close rate on getting portfolio companies funded. But most of all, I love how they're actually using tech to enable people to understand their own revenue potential, business viability, unit economics and profitability. And for me, that's real valuable stuff and delivering tangible results. Much more interesting than any new shiny new technology. But as you all know by now, that's how this show works. We've given our opinions on everything, but now it's time for you to do a little homework too and tell me what you think of today's conversation. So you know the drill. Email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. You can get me on Twitter at Neil C. Hughes. And if you search for at Neil C. Hughes on Instagram and LinkedIn, you'll find me there too. So a big thank you to Eckhard for joining me on the show today. I wish you all an amazing weekend and let's do it all again next week. So thanks for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.